Welcome to the Looking Glass. We are going to learn about some very important things that we have been asleep to for a long time. The main thing that we are going to be talking about is how to repair your luminous light body or your ethereal net, how you have a double if you have been born again, and how to activate it, how to use it, how to feed it, and how to hear the voice of your higher self. But we're also going to talk about some secrets of the moon. And we're going to link it to the age of the rabbit, the year of the rabbit. We're going to talk about mentally going back into our past and healing ourselves and getting out of mind control finally. So Ashley, you are behind a net. And you are full of light, and you're holding an earth. By the earth is a bell. This bell was the original moon and was much smaller than our moon that we have today. And you have another moon above you that is exploding. And there's a butterfly, and something is being set free from the explosion of this rabbit. There is a clown and a rainbow at 11 o'clock. And there is symbols at 7 o'clock of people being asleep. And then at 5 o'clock, this is your shadow self. This is your double self that you cannot see and that you haven't really learned to activate or use or control, because your shadow self is like a dragon that is asleep and is just learning to use its muscles, so to speak. As a human race, we are progressing more rapidly than any other time in recorded history. There's been a lot of growing unrest, and we look not into the future, but to the teachings of the past to bring greater meaning to our human existence. When we dive deeply, we find the forgotten knowledge of the mystery schools, legends of people levitating, yogis and shamans knowing how to use their double, their rainbow light body. The light body is our vehicle to graduate from the human condition to return to source. The goal of each soul is to merge with God. Then the activation of our light body is what gets us there. So awakening from ignorance is part of learning how to use your double self. Everything is energy. Billions of molecules, each acting as their own cosmos. Nothing in this world is just physical. There is the unseen world, the spirit, the energetic, invisible frequency. So the human energy field is made up of 7 layers. The terms etheric body, mental body, astral body, emotional body are all aspects of the light body. There are higher functions of the light body that must be activated. Gifted healers and shamans regularly work with your light body, with the invisible body, to heal your physical. The Merkaba means Mer, light, Ka is soul, and Ba is body. It is known as the chariot of the soul and must be activated to achieve ascension. Specific breath work combined with visualizations of sacred geometry can really help to activate your rainbow light body. Once the light body is activated, more sincere practices and absolute love are necessary to elevate the light body to the rainbow body state. Having healed every wound and purified every thought and released every judgment, this is called the Christ consciousness body. Both Jesus and Buddha ascended in this form. In their perfection of the human, they became gods. And then they showed others how to accomplish this frequency. They became masters. The Egyptians can call it the master of the net. As your body, your ethereal body, is also known as a net. We illuminate our rainbow light body through loving thoughts and sustained ecstatic frequency. I personally call it 0 point energy. where we feel nothing, we believe nothing, and we maintain a center or a balance of joy and thankfulness. Ascension is our graduation to full cosmic consciousness. The rainbow body is the highest graduation of the light body, and the Merkaba must first be activated to hold these higher frequencies if we wish to ascend. If you have good thoughts, they will shine out on your face. And when you are activated, you will activate others like a flame. This is called the carriers of the flame or initiates of the flame. This is also known as turning into the dragon, where you become the flame and you help others activate their flame. But even though this all sounds fine and dandy, I will add that the God or the Christ consciousness or the crystallization of Christos or Christ within you does not activate or even hatch like an egg until we are spiritually 12 years old. So you can't force it. It happens only at a certain time in our lives. If you are spiritually 10 years old or 11 years old, you will go through a pole shift. And this pole shift is the 11:11. Then you go to the number 12, where Jesus left the Bible at 12. And you will go to a place of learning, and downloads from the mind of God will begin to crack open within you. This is called the crystallization of spirit within flesh. This is the marriage of flesh and spirit. You will begin to hear the voice of your double self, your born again self. It can manifest as numerology. Your higher self may talk to you through people or the radio or TikTok or a myriad of ways. And your higher self will teach you about decalcifying your pineal gland, changing your diet, changing who you hang around with, changing what you watch, cleaning your house, cleaning your car, cleaning your emotions, cleaning your beliefs. Because in order to become as light as a feather, we have to let things go. And it will happen naturally once that egg in your cells cracks open and God begins to become alive in your heart, and you begin to hear the truth finally. So you will get into meditation, prayer, frequencies, laughter, nature, and especially the sun. If the moon reflects mind control and darkness and ignorance and shame and narcissism, the sun is the opposite. It is about light and truth, eternal life, and redemption. So it's almost like we were in a prison. Why? I don't know. That part, I guess that's something we have to let go because it does piss us off. Why feed us a plate of poison, and the poison made us a jerk, and we would have never been a jerk to begin with if we didn't eat poison. It seems like an endless circle. And so this is a meditation about being inside a pyramid. And when you go inside a metaphorical pyramid or an actual pyramid, we have to practice recapitulation, breathing exercises every day to draw back the power that we gave away in this prison and hunt for power and get our power back. The fuel of our light body is love, yes, and joy, both. Forgiveness, love, and joy. So when your higher self leads you to teach, to speak your truth, you make it into sacred geometry and symbology and numerology. You'll learn why you're so sensitive to energies around you. You may find out that you are a crystal child or an indigo child, and that you have to transmute energy every day. Otherwise, your energy gets caught in a net of other people's negative energies, and you will get depressed, sad, angry easily, and thereby making your twin self, your double self, less powerful. So learning how to transmute and take a salt bath every day, or sun gaze with your eyes closed every day, breathing techniques every day, standing in your joy every day, training your mind not to think the worst of yourself or others, and training your mind not to overthink or indulge in what the world thinks of you or what you think of you. These things take time. They take time to mature. And I don't believe that these are sorcery practices, because a sorcerer hunts for power to enhance the self. And we are not here to enhance our physical self. We are here to diminish the self, the physical body, so that the double, who is immortal and powerful, can take over, because our double is a time traveler. And so greater is spirit within you than you are in the world. And so we diminish our emotions, our beliefs, and our indulgences, our low self-worth or our self-importance, so that our higher self can take over. So it's not sorcery, because we are not seeking power to empower the physical body. We are seeking to diminish ourselves for the greater good and to grow our soul, so that we are not in a prison under mind control, living in ignorance and eating poison and perpetuating drama and pain and suffering. It takes skill and concentration to reach the double. It takes skill and concentration to hear your birthed self. For me, it takes action. For me, it began with cleaning. I cleaned everything, my house, my car, my yard. I cleaned briars off of my wild blueberry bushes. It was a major time of cleaning for me, because this cleaning was a physical prayer that I was ready to clean my chakras, my past, my mind, and my heart. And we're also doing this because there are predators who want to tear a hole in your luminous light body and feed off of you. The matrix, if you have a tear in your luminous light body from pain, abuse, suffering, you feed the matrix and energy and you die. So we're doing this so that we can help others live and maintain consciousness. So the act of recapitulation is repairing your net that were points of drainage. And we repair it to change points of drainage into points of power. Your ethereal net can become lost or entangled as a result of daily living. And by recapitulating, you focus on filaments from your stomach and pull it back into you with breathing. And this repairs you. And it's funny, because once you begin recapitulating and repairing your ethereal net, which is the net that's in front of you in your art, you'll start remembering. You'll start seeing things on the dream realm. You'll start having more power. I let go of my physical body and allowed my double to take over. If our awareness is tied to the double, we are not affected by the laws of the physical world. We are governed then by ethereal forces. And the ethereal forces are the celestial realm, the realm of the gods. We are no longer limited by gravity and other constraints. When you learn to control your double self can go anywhere. Your double self can see through someone else's eyes. Your double self can look like you or a dragon or an animal. Your double self can do a lot of things, but you're really not permitted to have power in that double self until you have proven that you can be obedient with your physical self. You cannot cast curses and hurt other people or even send negative energies to the moon unless it's in divine order. You have to be obedient to the voice of the Holy Spirit and God. Otherwise, you get put back into mind control. So it's really about following a divine order of God once you've been invited to activate your double self, which you have. So the writings that I have here, you can push pause and read. This is from some excerpts from The Sorcerer's Crossing. And it really is about listening to that voice. And this is the voice of God. God, there are many fragments of God, but God is frequency. It's the still small voice that talks to your heart and tells you what's in divine timing or what is not. So please look up the hidden energy science of sacred geometry, the master of the net on Gaia.com, because I believe that you are being asked to begin studying some sacred secrets, some ancient secrets. This is part of the mystery school. This is why your double self has like a witch's hat on. Now, there is an Aztec story. It's an Aztec creation myth about the sun, about how the sun is perpetuated. And I want you to push pause and read all of this. And it's a story about how they believe their world had been created and destroyed many times before, 4 times before. During each of the 4 previous cycles, different gods governed the earth throughout a dominant element, and then that element was destroyed. So these gods gave light to humans, but to do this, the gods had to sacrifice themselves by leaping into a fire. Each subsequent sun was created by the personal sacrifice of one of these gods. And so the sacrifice is required to begin a renewal, like the cracking of an egg. So the first God sacrificed himself and leapt into the fire and started the first sun. And this was called the 4 Tiger. It was inhabited by giants who ate only acorns. Okay, so these must be allegories. And these cycles lasted about 676 years. So the second sun was governed by humans, and this world ended by hurricanes and floods. Okay, so think about Noah and the flood here. And this world lasted 676 years. The third sun was called the rain sun and was dominated by water. And the people ate seeds. And this world ended by fire. Think of the baptism of water and then the baptism of fire. And this cycle lasted 364 years. The fourth sun was governed by a goddess. They ate moths, and they were transformed into fish. And this lasted 676 years. So weird how they were specific about the years and how each one of them were a little different. Now this one's the interesting part. The 5th sun, at the end of the 5th sun, was an androgynous god, both male and female. It was a fire god. And that's when for a new world to begin. And they started a sacrificial bonfire, but none of the most important gods wanted to jump in. However, the gods realized that the 2 suns would overwhelm the world, so they threw in a rabbit, and he became the moon. That is why we can still see the rabbit in the moon today. What? The rabbit and the moon? First of all, we are in the year 2023. This is called the year of the water rabbit. And I did not know that there was an ancient story of the rabbit and the moon. I had no clue. So here you have a rabbit on a planet being destroyed. It's being torn in half. And yes, I told you about how your ethereal net can be torn and ripped to shreds. But yes, this is about you and about how to heal your ethereal net. But then I started looking into it. Did you know that we have been trying to destroy the moon for a long time. Apollo 13, they were going to let off a nuclear bomb on the moon. And there's all kinds of signs of, hey, did you see the explosion on the moon? And why? Why would we be trying to destroy the moon? Cutting the rabbit in half. Dropping bombs on the moon. How America once thought about nuking the moon. This is interesting to me. I don't know if it's of importance to you. I don't know if you've thought about sending a spell to the moon, but this is a communication to you about this. Is the moon fake? Is it the Death Star, like the movie Star Wars? The moon of Saturn Mimas, compared to the Death Star in Star Wars, is almost identical. And so let us talk about whether the moon is really a moon or not. This is going to be beneficial. So there's Pluto. Was considered a planet, and then it wasn't. Our modern satellite imagery increased our knowledge of Pluto to say that it wasn't like the other planets that we know about. So planet is now labeled a dwarf planet in the Kuiper belt. Now, I know this is going to sound boring at first, but hold on tight. This is going to get interesting. The main reason for the definition change was mostly because Pluto is small, even smaller than our moon. Another reason is that Pluto has orbiting moons around the same size as Pluto itself. Okay, big deal, right? But there's a story about the similarities between the moon and Pluto. You have to look at David Icke's Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More. It's something that this person highly recommends for you to read to delve deeper into the reality of the world that we live in. Now look, I've been on the moon. I guess my double went there. And so I'm going to tell you what I know about the moon. All right, the moon is a Death Star. It's bigger than it should be. It's older than it should be. It's much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties. A Russian professor in biochemistry said that the moon, which has no atmospheric and no magnetic field, is a freak of nature, and that Earth is the only planet in the solar system orbited by a satellite so enormous to the world that it circles. To be sure, from within the Earth-Moon system, the simplest way of picturing the situation is to have the moon revolve around the Earth. But if you draw a picture of the orbits of the Earth and the moon about the sun exactly to scale, you would see that the moon's orbit is everywhere concave toward the sun. It is always falling toward the sun. All the other satellites, without exception, fall away from the sun through parts of their orbits. But not the moon. So the moon is one of these things don't fit in the right place. One of these things are not the same. Na 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 na. So what is the moon? And what is the purpose of the moon? When we look at history, we see Mithra cut a bull, and the bull turned into the moon. When Adam was cut into Eve, the sun turned into Adam, and the moon turned into Eve. So as above, so below. There is some connection between the moon and the sun and our own mind being under mind control. So the moon ought not be there. So make sure you push pause and read some of this for yourself. The moon has no magnetic field, yet its rocks are magnetized. The oldest rocks collected from the moon are far older than any other collected on Earth. Science had no idea where it came from and how it was formed. Earth has tons of iron, and the moon has none. See, I astral traveled inside the moon, okay? My higher self did, and I could see through the eyes of my higher self. It's like hollow, like a bell. It's huge. And there's this being that's like Darth Vader there. And everyone is one mind, and you can control everything with your mind. Lights, cars, flying cars, all technology is connected to your mind. It is a hive mind. Everyone has the same mind. They're all telepathic. And so I had to be invisible, meaning I could think nothing or believe nothing or feel nothing in order just to observe. Because this dark being that looked like Darth Vader looked at me, and I had to fall into the floor. And I could hear that the floor was alive, bzz, 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 like a constant buzzing. And so it's, according to what I saw, it's an extraordinarily large place of a hive mind, and everyone has the same mind. And I really believe that the reason they made up the name Neil Armstrong is a fake, because if you take Neil A and turn it backwards, it spells alien. And I think that the moon is artificial intelligence, and I think that it is something that puts us under mind control. Many legends describe the moon as a chariot of gods and goddesses. Yes, You got to send your double self there and see it, but I will warn you, you have to learn the art of invisibility. So is the moon a hollowed out spacecraft for alien intelligence? Well, Neil A, spell it backwards. Neil Armstrong spells alien. We didn't send spacecraft there. We are dominated by aliens who are our prison guards. We are under mind control, like a helmet or a simulation of the Darth Vader helmet. And they send out a frequency like a hologram onto our world, and we see what they want us to see. So I don't know if it's a negative thing, like we have to crack through an egg to get out of the simulation. Some say that it's governed by reptilians, but why is the moon exploding in your art? I believe that when you diminish your physical body, and this doesn't mean you don't have a personality. This just means that you're not living in the matrix. You're not acting like women act or how men act or how a human acts. You are learning to diminish your human physical identification as you so that your double can get strong and grow. And so that the moon is exploding is a symbol that you are diminishing your ego. You're diminishing your emotions. You're diminishing your unforgiveness. You are diminishing your pain. And you are strengthening the true moon, that bell, the elf that's holding the bell. And so the false moon, the false light, the mind control is being destroyed. And the true moon is gold. And you're holding the new earth and the new moon. What an awesome symbol. And the white stag is about time travel. And the birds are about your heart being as light as a feather and having freedom from gravity. And all you have to do is grow your dragon and your double self and learn and hear that bell in your ear and allow that bell to ring joy and activate your luminous light body, strengthening your ethereal net. And you have the eagle on your hand. The eagle is a very strong symbol of freedom and freedom from judgment in particular. So is this a prophecy that the moon is going to explode? I don't know. I wouldn't think the worst. We shouldn't think the worst. That's not what we should do. What we should think is that it is time that we come out of mind control and allow the truth to set us free. And when we ignite our luminous light body, we ignite so many other people, and it's going to be a new world, and you're holding that world in your hands. I love it, don't you? It's an amazing story. So thank you, Ashley. Continue studying. We have a lot to study. We have a lot to do. We have a lot to learn. And when the veil finally lifts, you'll be prepared. And you won't be scared to death because you'll have knowledge that many people don't have. So, the mystery schools. For those who are awakening, because you're spiritually 12 years old and you're headed to the number 13. If you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com.